sauteing the mic already this morning.
We were just wondering if the cast irons were going to be effective or not.
Oh, you did?
Kind of, but it was just
That's fine. I'm happy to come over to Pam's favorite.
All right, Sean had his birthday this week. Sean?
Happy
Let's
birthday!
sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
To you,
Happy
dear, dear Sean. Happy birthday to you.
He actually took the day off, so we couldn't torture him.
Do you want me to
Smart
sign
man.
that or anything?
So this was the first day we saw him older, but he looks younger.
He looks very young.
Thank you. And he does his own hair, which always looks fabulous.
I do too. Just want you to know you're not the only one who does your own hair. I do my hair. There's only one.
To love up Terry because he's leaving for a long trip and we're gonna miss
Again?
him again.
Sorry,
Just has to go to Morocco.
I have to go to.
When do you leave?
Not now, September 23rd.
Oh my God. You're unbelievable. You're already heartbroken.
We're already heartbroken.
I get nothing.
We gotta.
I hear jealousy there.
Good morning, YouTubers. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be here for 2 hours. Audience looks a little wan today, so I'm not sure we're going to get much action out of them.
Oh, not true. Yeah, not true.
What's the name of Jackie's Melons? I mean the other melons.
Is she drying? Do you want me to tell her?
Good morning, YouTubers.
No, she's asleep. Those were good last night, weren't they? Did you try some of the cantaloupe last night?
No. Darn it. That peach pie was,
You have it for breakfast?
yeah.
You know, those were Douglas peaches. Yeah,
Did you inspire the creation of that variety?
I must have, because they were nicely balanced between sweet and
Sorry.
tart.
We know you had nothing to do with that one.
Now, you, on the other hand, would have a Brix a little higher than mine.
Oh, because I'm so sweet. Per Miss.
Per Miss Hinckley, yes.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get going here in the Hot Stove Society kitchen on Cairo Radio. We're here in downtown Seattle having a grand old time. We have a nice group here in the house. If you want to come join us in the house, you can go to hotstovesociety.com. We serve breakfast and hot coffee. And, Dahlia Bakery has been so busy that we've kind of moved out of the bakery sandwiches. Is that what's going on with?
Yep.
And so Pamela is now taking on responsibility for designing our breakfast in the morning. So
Annie, really.
I'll just apologize up front.
It's really
She had nothing.
Annie.
It's Annie.
She doesn't even eat breakfast, and
It's
she wants
Chef
to be in
Annie,
charge.
and she's pretty good at what she does.
Pretty
So
good. Okay. I'm Tom Douglas, and we're here at the 4th and Virginia Hotel Andra, beautiful hotel that we stage our show in here, and our cooking school up on the 2nd floor. If you go right through the lobby, right up the stairs, you'll come into the bar here at the Hot Stove Society. What's your name, sir?
Thierry Roturo, the chef in the hat, and I agree with you, Tom. This is a great spot. I love this place here. Doesn't it feel good, you guys? I mean, it's like it's a feel-good kind of kitchen, and it's a great place to cook in. Learn to cook, or just cook in. It's fun.
We had one of my favorite events last week that we do here, which is somebody will book us out for a rehearsal dinner.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of rehearsal dinners, you've been to one before,
Sure.
where you go, you sit with you're very friendly. I'm not so friendly. You go sit at a restaurant at a big table next to somebody you don't know, and that's really the only person you kind of chat with throughout the evening. I mean, I know you get up and work the room, but that's not my forte.
Yeah, because it can be really surprising to who next you're sitting to.
Well, anyway, my point is, instead, you can come here and do a dumpling challenge and beat the crap out of each other and really get to know them and see where their strengths are and where their weaknesses are and where to attack the new family-in-law.
That's a nice planning for future wedding. I love that.
Or you could just be nice to each other and really
that
get,
would be that
really
would be
get to
more
know
like,
each other and
Yeah.
have a lifelong friendship.
that's a much better approach, Douglas.
So it's up to you. That's what's cool about
Start
the hot
with peace.
stove.
War will always come.
That's what's cool about the hot stove is you have your choice to either make lifelong enemies or friends. Today we have peak of the season melons. I had some of Jackie's last night, the one she grew. I guess she grew both of them. No comment. And they were delicious. We wrapped a little salty prosciutto around them, and they were good, really good. And I'm trying to think of the name. Oh, Hannah's Choice. Hannah's Choice.
A nice choice.
They are the best. Every year I look forward to those. Pamela's put on our list a Food 52 article from produce whisperer Deborah Madison. God, I can't believe she's still around. She's as old.
She's
What?
probably
She's
not as old as us.
She's as old as I
not
am.
as old as you,
She's
Tom.
as old as I am.
No.
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah,
like
she
to
was the chef at Greens when it opened.
remember.
Yeah. So she is still kicking. It must be all those healthy vegetables. We address a listener's request for the canned antipasto recipe of my father-in-law, Jim Cross, who made it every year until his passing. I think he's gone, God, 6 years now, something like that. But this would be the time of year to start to think about it because it's got cauliflower and carrots and onions and all sorts of goodness out of the garden. Second hour with the cooking club for guys and a tomato. Yeah.
Proudly seated in the front row
And
today.
they're in the front row today, and they all have tomatoes. That's very impressive. Terry, I hope you know how to duck.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are not rotten,
I
Tom.
gave
They're
him-
beautiful and
they're
very,
beautiful.
very
They're not going to
gorgeous.
throw those, are they?
They're not throwing those.
Lastly, of course, we're going to play Rub with Love, Food for Thought, Tasty Trivia. It's a big challenge. We're going to take on the 4 tomatoes, and you and I, we're all going to.
Looks like there's more than 4 though. There's 6 of them.
Apparently they're cheaters.
Oh.
So we have to be on our top step. First, let's talk about
Taste of the week.
your taste of the week. Did you have something delicious this week that you want to share with our
Something
listeners?
I made.
Oh, what a shocker.
Well, I mean, usually they say if you want to be best served, you do it yourself.
Who usually says that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I do. No, I made a Moroccan chicken salad,
Mhm.
and I was very happy with what I made because it reminded me, I was treating some people who were going on a trip with us in a month, and doing just last minute recap.
Mhm.
And I did a few things Moroccan style, but I did a salad with bell peppers, onion, all grilled, and grilled chicken, and I marinated into a beautiful dry rub of hazelnut, some beautiful fennel seeds, and I ground from the garden. Had some brown fennel seeds, and the chicken was it was perfectly grilled. You know how sometimes
Who grilled it?
my neighbor. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was.
You did say-
sometimes I screw up. I mean, sometimes it's too dark or burn or whatever. This was just perfectly done. It was nicely smoked too, and put that into the salad. All the legs. It was legs only meat because that's my favorite kind of meat. And it came out so delicious. I made a harissa dressing, harissa, Dijon mustard, olive oil. That's it. Oh, lemon juice. I made that, and that was it was a very summery, beautiful evening. That was 2 nights ago. It was beautiful.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I feel at
Time-
peace.
Time to grill some chicken. This is where I'm going with this. Try to grill some chicken. Made a nice little version
I
of
kind of
chicken salad.
overcooked my salmon that I grilled last night. I wasn't the best grill man. I was cooking for what were we last night? 16 or 18, and it kind of got away from me while I was running in and out of the house.
I was going to say something because
You should.
It's something.
Luckily, it was a beautiful piece of king which had a little bit of fat that kept it a little bit moist, but it kind of got away. And unlike us, I didn't grill too much. There was
none left
there was
over.
none left over, man, and the kids were like looking. Are they?
Is there more?
You know what? It was heartening to see all of the kids. We had 2. What do you suppose? What's 4th grade?
7? No, I don't know.
No. I don't
9.
know. 9 years old. We had like a 9 and a 8 or 9
We've got
and
some
a
experts back there
10,
that
9,
would
blah,
know.
blah, blah. And 2 little babies. One doesn't eat any hard food yet, but it was heartening to see. And Clay, who was 25 or so 22, just devour salmon. And I think a kid's being scared of fish sometimes. And they were not scared. They were
I
like
think
all in. They
salmon
wanted
is good meat.
seconds.
Salmon
Yeah.
is very good meat.
So that
And
was,
we have plenty of it here.
that
So
was heartening to see. But my taste of the week was we were at the Met Market at Peachorama, I think they call it. And
Yeah.
we picked up, they had 4 or 5 different kinds of peaches, and we picked up the Douglas peach
mhm,
just because.
just because it was called
Yeah.
Douglas.
And it wasn't the sweet, it wasn't the sweetest one on their list of bricks, but it was a very balanced peach. You know, sometimes I've argued with John Raleigh or guys like that about you can make them too sweet, right? You can breed them to be just a ball of sugar, and that's not very interesting to me. I like that combination where it's got a sweet but a nice acid balance.
So for this year, I've had 3 different kind of peaches, all from Met Market.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't found one peach yet that was as sweet as normal year. I think we're
Oh.
having a very low sugar year for peaches.
Uh-huh.
That's what I think. It's all been like nice acid at the end. You know how a peach can be very acidic at the end? They all have that. Yes.
And they were
You think
just
I'm going to drive 5 hours
they
to
just
peach?
listen to what I'm going to say because I only have 10 seconds. We were going out to pick them. They were fabulous. They were loaded. The tree was loaded. Going out tells the ladies that she works with, we're going to pick in the morning. Goes out in the morning. They're all gone. Somebody stole our peaches.
Disaster.
It was a disaster.
Somebody actually
Yeah,
stole the
Not
tree.
just the
Stole
low
all their
ones, but they
peaches.
took the high ones too. They got on a ladder in
All
our
their
tree
peaches.
overnight and stole our peaches in Prosser, Washington. I want to hear that. Everything happens bad that's in Seattle, but that was in Prosser, Washington. Anyway, we got to go. When we come back, it's Smelling the Melon on Cairo Radio, 97.3 FM.
That is astonishing.
Everyone.
Can
That's
you
astonishing.
imagine going to your yard and seeing them all
And your
gone?
farm is not like you have to go there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not, and it's a dead end. It's not like you can go somewhere else.
No, it's not a dead end, but
I
yeah.
mean, you're to go up to your farm and to go to that.
No,
peach
this
tree.
is down at the barn, right on the main,
Oh, that's where you. That's true. That's true. Your peach
but
tree.
it's still not a very busy road.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
They stole my wife's peaches. If I get a hold of them, I got to tell you.
I make them eat all at once with the pits.
Tasting the joint. That's what's upsetting. Watching until those peaches were
I
ready.
know. I know. This is somebody who lives not too far, keeps driving by, going, no, not today, not today.
We all agreed they were ripe and ready. The last time we had something stolen from the farm, they cleaned out the greenhouse of all the tomato starts, and we're convinced they thought they were pot plants.
You know what? That wouldn't surprise me at
Because
all.
they left all
Oh, dude, look at this.
Yeah.
Apparently, you don't need any more greens. You already are too stoned to differentiate tomato and pot.
Yeah. Smoking a little tomato.
Oh, yay. Our next tomato is here. The tomatoes have
This is a
arrived.
bushel of tomatoes.
Yeah. We have a whole bushel.
All right.
And we're back. Hot Stove Society time right here on Cairo. Hope you're in your garden or in your kitchen. Wherever you are listening to us, we appreciate it. In the car, on a podcast, you can listen to us so many ways. And I know I left you with a tragic story after that first segment of Jackie's peach tree getting ransacked by somebody. It has to be a neighbor because it's in the middle of the orchard. You can't really see it from the road. Anyway,
That's ridiculous.
she lost all her peaches. But she didn't lose all of her melons. I hate to even say it out loud now. Somebody's going to come case her melons.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. Next thing you know, they're going to steal all the melons.
Annually, you've heard me talk on this show about Jackie's the melon that she calls it's a type of musk melon or cantaloupe, which is called Hannah's Choice. And I'd be curious if anyone's ever gone out and bought the seed after hearing it on the show and how it worked for them. But God darn, they're delicious. They smell like so fragrant. I had them in my garage because they just continue to ripen and ripen. And
Right.
I don't pop them in the fridge until they're almost soup. I cut one open last night for prosciutto and melon, and it was almost soup on the inside, just in the cavity where the seeds were. I literally had to rush and get paper towels so it didn't drip all over the place.
Sure, those are perfect.
Oh my God, it was perfect.
That's
What's
when
your favorite thing to do with those?
To me, it's when I put it in the fridge. I don't put it in the fridge whole. I like to just keep it outside all the way until the end, cut it, and then put it in the fridge for like 5 minutes so it chills down a little bit.
Yeah, I get that, but when you're not like, when you have 6 of them and you're kind of pacing, if they hit that spot, they'll just rot.
Put them
Yeah.
in, yeah. Favorite way to eat melon? Well, I like in the morning, but I also like it in salad. Do melon and smoked trout salad. It's one of my little go-to in terms of summer salad. And just drizzled olive oil, sea salt, bit of harissa because that's my go-to. If it's not mustard, it's harissa. So a little bit of harissa to give it a little kick, and good piece of very good melon, ripe melon. It's one thing I don't like is to have a melon that has to it or that doesn't taste like melon.
Like most of the melon we get in most of the year.
Correct.
We can't seem to stop ourselves from buying melons throughout the December and January and stuff.
Cantaloupe in January is definitely not a cantaloupe for me.
No. So
But I want to recommend somebody because every year, a dear friend of mine who passed away a couple of years ago was a great cook, and he turned me on to this melon from Oregon, this farm, John Walshley, and he get this cantaloupe, this beautiful cantaloupe melon, and it is absolutely delicious. It
What's
tastes like melon.
what's the little French melon? It's not Charlemagne, is it? What is it? The little
No,
French cantaloupe.
You just took the name away from me. Not Charlemagne. That's the guy who invented school. Everybody hates him. Just kidding. As a child, when you grow up, you're like, Charlemagne, what a waste. What does that guy do? He invented school. You didn't like that.
Okay, that's okay. Are we gonna
Yes, it will come back to.
okay.
That's
You want me to
Charlemagne.
tell you my favorite way to make melon?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
No, but you were telling me about this this
Well, no, I just want to make sure that I just want to give him a plug. So if you're on the peninsula, my friend used to live in Deborah. His wife is still there. So Zoe, and we used to eat those cantaloupe. And I just had it recently last week, as a matter of fact. And it just reminded me. So I took the sticker and brought it with me. And it's farm from Oregon, and they distribute on the peninsula. It's really delicious. I
organically
recommend it.
grown in Hermiston, which is actually southeast of our farm, I believe, over on the hot side of Oregon.
Correct?
Yep. And it's John
Walshley.
Walshley.
Yeah.
I see. All right, I see. Cantaloupe.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
they're really. What I like about that specific melon is it tastes like a cantaloupe, like a melon,
uh-huh.
and it's when it's perfect, it's just amazing.
That's what I love about those Hannah's Choice too. They,
Right.
they have a real muskmelon quality. My favorite thing to do, and Hinkley has had these, and Miss Pamela, our producer, has had these, is to puree when they get super ripe, puree them and make a cantaloupe margarita.
Mm, Of
There's really, or a
course.
cantaloupe daiquiri or some sort. You just want to drink
With
them
a
when
ni-
they're
with a
that
nice-
sweet and juicy.
Saltarine.
Yeah, that reminds me. My mother always salted her cantaloupe.
Me too.
But
I
she
like.
always used that Morton crappy salt.
Oh,
on it,
no.
which you take that beautiful melon and then you put that kind of iodized flavor right on top, and it's not for me.
Well, we've grown from that. It's just use a little finishing salt. That's when you use your finishing
Yeah,
salt.
like a little flake Malden or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
I did a great recipe this week with melon.
Wait a minute. Wait. a
No
minute.
surprise.
Neither one of us tried it, so let's ease up on the word "great" until we hear
Oh
about.
my God.
It was Wednesday's New York time, and toasted coriander seed, lime, olive oil, and then you cube the melon and cucumber and grill shrimp for the top,
Nice.
and then make that
that
limey
sounds good.
coriander dressing for the whole thing, and finish with feta,
Lovely.
Oh,
cracked
wow.
pepper.
That sounds great.
Actually-
we think you should make that for us next week's
Actually,
show.
yeah, actually a little bit of julienne mint or maybe
Yeah.
anise sop would be delicious.
It
in that.
said, yeah, just be super generous
Or
with all the herbs.
even tarragon, basil would be good.
Tarragon, that is a good idea.
Yeah, tarragon would be good with that.
Last night I was cooking a birthday supper for my niece who's visiting from the East Coast right now, used to live here, and Pamela came over and expressed great surprise and admiration for a melon baller. She was so like out of her mind. Like, I finally know
Learned
how
how
to
to use
use
it.
a melon baller. Did you know that there was a
Do you know
technique?
do you know there's a cooking school called Hot Stove Society?
That's
That's
where,
where I
that's where she
learned
learned it. So tell us, Pamela, what is the correct way to make a melon ball? 'Cause frankly, I've been making them for years, and I didn't
I
realize.
never even
that-
knew. I didn't know people didn't know how to use them.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
stop it. Pressing. It has a hole in the top for the reason.
What's the reason?
So Kelty was to bring the juice up to make sure you're deep enough into the fruit.
It's
So
too,
it was
it's
one
too
of our
late.
cooks.
Yeah,
That,
it's too late.
that-
You push on it so it can come all the way in.
and so it comes all the way in.
Yeah.
Push it down, but I was missing the full rotation. I was just
You're
scooping.
doing a half a ball?
So you're making
Yeah.
half.
And so I'm always like, how come my spheres are incomplete? And he demonstrated the full.
This is our producer, folks. This
And we
is
have
the-
a food radio
this is the one
show.
who designs a food radio show. Yeah.
And you're gonna see some of my practice spheres today.
You can hardly even say
Is
the
it,
word
is it
sphere.
fear? Is it fear or sphere?
She's from Willimantic, Connecticut. They don't really speak English up there.
No, no.
Wow. Melon ball.
So
It was a big day yesterday, and then I saw Tom doing a rotation on the grill, which I had never thought of doing before.
oh, where instead of like moving your meat around the grill, you
Yeah.
just turn the rack
You
around.
turn the rack, yeah.
To the hot part of the fire.
What a day I had!
Yeah. you-
It was crazy.
Wow. And you know what? It's what makes life so great when
Yeah.
you discover things like this and you're like, duh.
I
So
know.
Pamela, so
That's
here's
what
the
it was.
question I have. Now you know how to melon ball, right? But it also leaves quite a bit of residual on
No.
the thing. So what do you do with all of that?
I have to hide it before Annie gets here because I just trashed the watermelon. And
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
There's
Make a
lot of-
soup.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can leave a lot of waste, so you have to
Yeah.
be very efficient about how you go around the melon to leave.
But this is when you
That's
do
the
your
little place.
margarita or your
Yes.
margarita base or all that. You use that, you puree it, which is once you have a pureed watermelon, that's a good watermelon. You can do a cold soup. You can use those ball as a garnish into your soup. Or you can use, you can do your margarita and put the balls on the sticker and roll them in a little sugar with a little heat
Mm.
chili. Put that as a garnish to your margarita. You can use. There is no ending to what you can. You can do individual melon ball, wrapped with a little prosciutto, and serve that as an appetizer.
Now we're talking.
Chef, you've
No
you've
waste
gone
here.
beyond, chef. You've gone beyond. A hot,
But
spicy.
you need to make sure your
melon
balls
ball
are round.
garnishing your sweet margarita. Okay, and try mezcal instead of
Yes.
tequila, so you'll get that smokiness in your margarita too. Up next, it's Deborah Madison's take on some useful tools for elevating your preparation of vegetables. We already started with the melon baller. Let's keep going.
How's everybody doing? Good.
Well,
Oh, there's a flaw there. Yeah, so we can't get these. They're not in the stores here.
I don't know. I haven't seen
Yeah,
them.
I've seen them.
You've seen them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hermiston is where all the watermelons are from. I mean, there's a big melon
Right. Right.
situation going on over there.
You've seen them in like Town and Country, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Just look them up online. They'll tell you where they sell.
Always thinking, Mr.
Google it up.
Does anybody know the word? I can't find the article, but when I was looking at melons, it said the best way to, one of the ways to see if it's right is to look for the spot where it was laying on the ground. And that has a name. And, if it's too dirty and mushy, it's been sitting in the field too long, but there could just be evidence of it, but not mushy.
Well, mine Cantaloupe last night had a lot of evidence of it, and it was perfect. So that's I would
So,
not go by that.
well, or maybe whatever state of that.
You can tell what maybe stated the melon is in, but having a noticeable spot is not a bad thing.
No, you want to look for that spot
Oh,
to
okay.
make sure that it has it.
Yeah, but I thought you said just has it.
Yeah.
What am I? What, yes, sir.
Nothing. I was gonna. We'll get back in.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you the two French melons. And I couldn't remember.
Okay, good.
What is it? Okay.
Listen to the show.
Okay.
Pam, I'm
Oh,
going to have you introduce because she is your god.
she is.
Look at those melon balls. They're almost perfect. Oh, they do have a flat side.
Oh,
Look at that. There's a little.
Wow.
Supposed to be a sphere, Pamela.
I guess if they invented the wheel like this, they would have never made it.
This
You're almost
side
there.
is a little bit flat.
it is. Darn it.
But it's good if you're doing a presentation on a tray because they have a
Good.
base.
Yeah, they can.
You know, I mean,
Tray.
you could always say that for an excuse. You know,
Yeah.
I made them like this because I want them to stand.
Just call them melon flats.
No, just keep melon ball. It's a good idea.
Melon semis.
So my
Semi bowls. Thanks to her beloved cookbooks, Deborah Madison has been teaching Americans how to eat their vegetables for many, many years. And Pamela, I've known you for 40 some years now. God, you're old.
True.
Yeah, and this woman is like a god to you. She has been an inspiration for your life and your cooking for so many years. Tell me about how you got kind of turned on to her. Was it at the restaurant Greens, or did you actually after that? Or tell me about your relationship with Deborah Madison. By the way, I'm Tom Douglas,
and I'm Terry Rochero, the chef in a hat.
and we're on Cairo in the Hot Stove Society kitchen.
Well, if we go all the way back to when I was a hippie and being influenced by Frances Moore LePay's book, Diet for a Small Planet, because I grew up with chicken farmers and dairy farmers and slaughtering pigs and cows. So there was always farm fresh vegetables, but meat was the center of our plate. So when I started seeing these other influences and understanding what Frances Moore LePay was trying to get at about changing the balance of what we eat, I was determined to figure out how to make barley taste good because
And this was what year? This was early 70s?
late 70s.
Late 70s.
So I went to work unbelievable as a chef in a hippie vegetarian restaurant.
Funny.
That's why she quit.
And that's when
And you were
Deborah
making flat melon balls all the way back then.
No.
that's when Deborah Madison was starting to come onto the scene. So when I moved to the West Coast, making a pilgrimage to Greens was really important because she presents vegetables in such an engaging and highly seasoned way and use different cooking techniques. I mean,
Right.
I grew up with a mom that just boiled the crap out of everything. So to have a vegetable that has some tooth and some char and combined with wonderful herbs was really important.
Yep.
Right.
And so, and then learning too that Deborah is not a vegetarian. So she balances her flavors to have a lot of that satisfying umami.
Right.
So I've just always been a big fan.
Did you always have the Moosewood cookbooks?
Of course.
Of course you did.
I have it somewhere. I haven't looked at
You
it
still
in
have it?
20 years.
I don't know that I still have one, but that was a very big
That was
vegetarian
Yeah.
restaurant, right?
Yep.
Up in the Northeast.
Little cafe. But what I like still about her, and I'm glad she's still writing, and what we're going to try to talk about today is tools in the kitchen that help you get a more elevated result out of your vegetables. And I want to, of course, she says your nose and your hands are the most important thing because you get so many clues from aroma. But one of the tools she mentioned, Terry, and you have to educate me, is the fait-tout
Oh,
pan.
fait-tout, yeah.
Please tell. I don't know what that
fait-tout
is.
could be your enamel Le Creuset pot. It's about
A tall side or a short side?
usually a fait-tout is a little bit taller, but a fait-tout is the pot my mom used to use to make any kind of stew, any kind of soup, any kind of. She would always used. Where is my faitout? Oh, here's my faitout.
So if that's a faitout, what's a coquette?
a coquette.
Yeah, remember a coquette? Isn't that isn't that a tall-sided enamel pan too?
No, I think
No.
that's must be a different name.
Okay.
Coquette means cute.
Charlotte.
What? Charlotte. Oh, that's maybe what you're thinking of. That's a mold for.
Yeah, that's a
You know what that is.
yes, of course.
No, so faitout is like it means make all. Like you can do anything in there.
It sounds like a Dutch oven.
It is kind of exactly like a Dutch oven, maybe not cast iron, maybe thinner. But it's the pot that you use for basically or everything you're cooking in, except for it's not a saute pan, but to any kind of stew or anything you do it in there. And it's every household has one in France, so they use as the main.
So Pamela, when you say that faitout and you're thinking vegetables, what are you thinking that you want to cook in there?
Something that I want to put a sear on and then braise.
And braise, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a big daikon radish or
Like the carrots I made the other night when I was
Mhm.
doing that Moroccan dinner. I did carrots sweated in olive oil gently, and then toasted coriander, a little bit of ground nutmeg, and a little bit of tarragon. And I put that very slowly, and then a little bit of water, and cook that very gently into a faitout pot, and then cover it. Cook it very gently for about 25 minutes, gently. So the carrot, but big chunks of carrots, by the way. So they were not mush; they were just tender, and then a little bit of honey to finish as the liquid is gone, almost gone. A little bit of honey, and then glaze the whole thing up and finish it like that. You end up with a little bit of lots of cracked pepper on top. You end up with little kind of like sweet and peppery kind of carrots glazed. Really delicious with that coriander.
Beautiful. But that pan helped you manage the moisture.
Well, you can do
cook-
everything in there, like between the liquid and the caramelization. Yeah, exactly.
cocotte. It's not coquette. Cocotte.
Cocotte, yes.
Sorry, I was so far off, chef.
Yeah,
So just saying.
I can find you two words in English
Tom's
that
been
probably
doing some
would be
research.
exactly the same concept of sounding the same, but
So what?
being very different.
Let's go back to your carrots for a second, because I think sometimes people think carrots I'm going to cook this way, right? And I think that in vegetable cooking you have to like anything really, but you could also think about it in vegetables is that when you go by the produce department and you see the little baby carrots, and then you see kind of like the organic carrots with the green tops on, and then all of a sudden you see the huge carrots. All of them are perfectly delicious.
Correct.
But in the faitout, to me, is where I want to. If I get stuck having just a really big kind of roasting, I think of them as kind of being
Correct.
long roasting carrots. That is, it's
That's actually
something
what
to
you
think about
want.
when you're buying a certain carrot, because like to your point, that's not, you don't want the little baby carrots for what you just described. You
Correct.
want kind of those big roasting carrots.
Correct.
A lot of times in farmers markets, they come. I mean, there's some chunky carrots that come out there. They look like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And often in the farmer's market, you buy a bunch of carrots, there's not one carrot the same,
Mm-hmm.
which is the other part that kind of bugs me when you go to the store. They all look the same. Like, who farmed this? Because I grow carrot every year, and I never find two carrots the same in my garden.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they're not straight, and they're, different shape.
The other tool that Deborah was saying was so important was a double boiler, and it made me go running to my basement because I think something you're alluding to with the gentle cooking, she was talking about holding at a softer, lower temperature, or using it for vegetable purees, things that you didn't really want to heat up.
Well, like if you make a good mashed potato and you make it 3 hours before your guests get to your house, you need to find a way to keep it warm, right? Double boiler is a perfect example of good usage of that. You take a bowl, you put your mashed potato in it, and you cover it with a plastic wrap. It's sealed tight, and you put it in a double boiler very gently. It will keep the mashed potato perfectly warm and exactly at the temperature you want it. Because it's not the same if you cool it down and then you rewarm it. especially if you make
Dries
something
out.
like I make, which is at least 40% butter and 60% potato. You don't really want to go through the warming session.
It can literally break.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like
It's going to separate.
yeah.
It's not going to be the same. So, you get this gorgeous, like, melt in your mouth kind of mashed potato. You're like, you don't want, you just keep it warm and then it's going to be gone. You're not going to have any left over anyway.
Who makes the famous Joel Robuchon potatoes, right? That
Very
are,
Robuchon, yeah.
are like that, almost 50% butter.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Cream and butter,
Yeah.
the two best thing you can put in
I
potatoes.
want that right now.
Okay, you have 30 seconds. Your last kitchen tool.
Super sharp paring knife,
Yeah.
getting in and around all those important crevices.
Mhm.
In your peppers and better than a peeler for some things. Just got to keep your paring knife really sharp.
And there's two kinds of paring knives, especially I think one for what you're talking about. It's actually a thin blade. It looks like a mini boning knife.
Yeah.
That's a thin blade paring knife that goes great on some of the little things that you have to do. Because I find sometimes even on my paring knife that I sell in my line, it can be too wide for certain things, in my opinion, like a strawberry hulling or something that you really want a small bladed paring knife for.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah. So
And it's nothing wrong to have two different kind of paring knife.
You need them.
One thin, a little bit curved, and then one straight. Those are they're great tool to use in the kitchen.
coming up next, we're going to talk about antipasto, and not kind of the one that you get on a sliced meat and cheese platter. No, we're going to talk about a different kind of antipasto. When we come back on Cairo, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Jackie had the recipe, so it's at the back of your packet.
How's your quiche? Pretty good, huh? That is melt in your mouth right there.
Quiche me, baby.
Can anyone tell me what the number one ingredient flavor is that you're tasting in there? What makes it so unctuous?
Butter.
The onions, the caramelized onions. You have to really, that gives that whole quiche a base flavor, and then anything else you add to it adds to that profile.
I'm making 3 different quiches at Lulu at the airport. Man, it's a huge seller.
That seems like perfect airport food.
Take it with you in the box, eat it on the plane.
So you just sell it by the slice, or you make babies?
No, it's individual quiches.
Oh, brilliant. That's a
Ham and cheese, bacon, caramelized onion and cheese, and vegetarian, mushroom, spinach, and cheese. Because without cheese, life is just not the same. I'm waiting for my mud check from the cheese board.
I know. That's something you said last week. You grew up in a land that's not afraid of dairy.
Yes, right.
That stuck with me.
Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. It's really good.
How did the kids do? Did they eat their quiche, or do we need something else? Did you eat it?
Hey, Pam. Pam. Why would they eat the quiche?
I just don't know. I mean, I think if they're here. it's
She's a
evident.
doting parent. She never had a kid. She's just like, oh, she's scared. Oh, they're not
It
going
goes
to
like
eat
this in my house. You don't like the quiche? Hey, it's okay. You don't have to like everything, but next meal is in 6 hours. Think about it twice. No, I'm just kidding. I was never a mean father like that. But I did say that many times. No snacking allowed, and next meal is in 6 hours. You don't have to eat it. Just try it. They'd love
I know
to.
my daughter ate with the dog a few times because she would throw her food on the floor. I said, you want to throw your food on the floor? You can go eat like with the dog. So, yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Her plate right over by the dog bowl. She didn't eat the dog food, but I put it right over by the dog bowl.
When I was a child, the only thing I could not eat was leeks the way my mom made it. I love leeks today, but she used to boil leeks.
Oh, they get so slimy
It
and
was
gross.
so disgusting. She put that on the platter and just vinegar as a garnish.
Uh-huh.
So I would get my plate and go in the staircase, and you can come back. Oof.
Did-
You couldn't hide
I
so
told
many.
you I hated beets, and I My dog had purple lips and was like,
That's right. I got to work on you and beets.
my sister Sherry said I always used to make her eat. I just wouldn't. At my mom's funeral, so we got talking about that. What an awful brother I was, and she said I used to make her eat my meats.
Sounds bizarre.
I have no recollection of that. My other sister said that I chased her around with crab, which is why she's allergic to seafood. We used to always go crab, with the chicken necks on the string and stuff like that. She said I chased her with the live crab. Now she's allergic to seafood. Can you imagine me doing such a thing?
Yes. You're the guy who glued the egg for Easter, so yes.
All right, this last segment of our first hour. Ready, Sean? Oh, good. Let's jump right back into the Hot Stove Society show. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Rochero, the chef in a hat.
Jerry, we make a lot of family recipes. You always talk about your mom's cooking. I don't talk about my mom's cooking much. She was more of a service cook, if you know what I mean. She would probably slap me upside the head if she heard me say that. But, when you're cooking for 8 kids and your husband, and oftentimes, the grandparents lived with us in their final years, and you're putting breakfast, lunch, and dinner on for 10 or 12, 3 times a day, plus snacks.
Yeah.
You do what you can do.
Right. I think my mom was the same. I mean, she wasn't a chef's cook every day.
Right,
She
right.
was, but especially
You
like
develop a taste for that kind of
Correct.
food. You talk about it constantly.
Yeah.
About when I get home, my mom's going to make me put the food,
Yeah.
which is basically a boiled beef dinner. So,
Yeah.
We had a listener, Jan Penrod, asked for my father-in-law's antipasto recipe, which we've talked years ago. It was something that he learned from his mother, and it was more of at a time, this recipe came about at a time when you've got the last of the season, all the different stuff available, cauliflower, carrots, celery. He always put olives. He put canned tuna, things like this, all together in a little tomato broth of sorts, and stewed it and canned it. And you had it all winter long, this delicious kind of antipasto thing. And he ended up, while it became a necessity for his mother, she was an Italian immigrant over homesteading over there in northern Idaho, Harrison, Idaho. Just like confit, right? It was confit was a necessity for a long time, and then it
Correct.
became a flavor profile and
Correct.
a feel in the mouth that people enjoyed, and so they kept doing it even when we had refrigeration.
Right,
You
right.
didn't need to do it anymore, right?
Correct.
So I think of antipasto now in that same kind of vein, as just being kind of a fun, traditional end of summer. Grandma taught me how to do it. It's grandma's recipe.
I think antipasto is probably one of those most misunderstood dish, because I think often it is quite bastardized, and you go in many places and some Italian restaurant, and it's pretty lame in most
Well, I
restaurants.
don't even think it's out there. I don't even think it's available. We're talking about almost like a stew of vegetables.
Right, and
You just don't see it anywhere. You don't even see it on the grocer's shelf.
right.
Have you seen one lately? I mean,
It's
there might be one out
time-consuming,
there.
and it's also
It's just
older style.
It's an older thing, yeah. So I'm looking for Jan to take this recipe that all ripped up. Did you see the picture she said? It's all ripped up, and to make it and to send it to us. If I'm going to give it out,
That's a good idea.
if I'm going to give out the
Jan has to
recipe,
make
the
it.
secret sacred family recipe.
Well, you're gonna have to shrink it down because it starts with 40 pints.
Does it? Is it
Yeah.
It
20,
yields
20?
40 pints.
So she has enough to share
Oh,
with
I
us.
see. There's 20 pints and 40 pints.
Also, maybe there's an error
So
somewhere.
anyway, that's the kind of thing that it would be over at Prosser when we make the Prosser meatball project, where I buy 100 pounds of different meats and we put it all together. And as a family, we make meatballs and then take them to each of our individual freezers. This would be the same. Take them to each of your pantries
Right.
after you can them.
Right.
So let's just start at the top. And if you want this recipe, Pamela will post it on our website.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. It's got onions, carrots, peppers. And so far, all 3 of those things we grow at our farm. So that's kind of the fun part, right? If you can grow these things even better than going to the QFC and just buying a bag of this and a bag of that. Or
Right.
go to a farmer's market. take it the direction
yeah,
it's
yeah.
intended, right? This was a surprise to
Cucumber.
me. Cucumber. I would think as you
It would mush.
can this that it would just braise out.
No,
But,
it doesn't, because if you think of Eastern European dishes, they cook cucumber with paprika and everything. It doesn't somehow, it doesn't fall
I
into
know,
mush.
it's just one of those things that I was surprised to see that in there. I would never have guessed, and I don't remember it when I have had it over the years as something that, as a bite, because everything else you can kind of, there's a piece of cauliflower,
Right,
there's a
right,
piece
right.
of carrot,
You recognize it.
yeah, but I don't remember the cucumbers, mushrooms, cauliflower, green beans. Interesting.
And I love what
And-
it says 14 cans.
I know, 14 cans
you've gotta get
straight cut. So even Grandma Croce was using canned food at that time.
Right,
Ripe olives. So that to me is the Lindsay or the black olive,
right, right.
because green olives are unripe typically.
But she also has green olive stuffed.
I know, with the little pimento inside. Isn't it funny? And then there's olive oil, ketchup. That's the tomato.
No, thank you.
That's the tomato. But if you think about it, the ketchup is a lot of sugar, a lot of tomato, and some vinegar, right? So it's giving her this kind of funny little balance of adding some sweetness. Vinegar, hot sauce, up to your preference of how much. And so the fish was a large tin of anchovies and a larger tin of tuna. So that is the classic kind of recipe. So you preheat your liquids to a near boil in a large kettle, mix in the mashed anchovies and keep over low to medium heat while adding the chopped vegetables. As mixture heats through, add tuna and mix carefully to avoid any mushing. So you don't really cook it a whole lot because it has to get canned.
I'm just picturing those cans of tuna falling into that liquid. I'm like, yeah.
Well, they stay chunky
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you're not doing much.
Not just the matter of putting it in there.
So a little trick on this one is that you have to use a wide mouth jar because you are going to get in there with
Correct.
a spoon and you don't want to mash it all up. You want it to come out in the chunks that you put it in as. And
the reason you want a wide mouth is because you want to be able to take them out. I just experienced that with something a couple of days ago, preserved lemon in a jar, and the jar was a thin mouth. I could not take the lemon out without cutting it. I thought, what a dumb idea. Who puts that in and doesn't think it's going to,
Right.
plumb out because it's in liquid? I was like, that wasn't well thought of.
so here's what I wanted to ask you and Pamela about, because Pamela has actually had Jim's Antipasto before.
So many times.
many
I'm
years
just
ago.
dreaming of it right now because
Yeah.
there's no other flavor quite like it.
He would always serve it with Ritz crackers, or
Love
not
it.
Ritz, saltine crackers.
Saltine.
What would you add to this recipe to kind of bring it to my flavor? Because if you notice, there's not one fresh herb in here.
Yeah, it needs green
Yeah.
onions. That's what I would
You
add.
would add green onions. I would add things like oregano.
First thing that comes
and-
to mind is we were talking about tarragon. I have a whole bunch of tarragon in my house. I would definitely take tarragon and sprigs of tarragons in there, because that would give flavor as
What's the other glaring miss here for an Italian antipasto?
garlic.
There's no garlic.
I know. I saw that. I was like, "Where's the garlic?" There's
It's
no garlic.
very glaring to me that that this recipe would contain no garlic. So I would maybe do, if I was going to do this, I would either blanch or roast off garlic and then put it into the mix. Because if you put whole garlic in at the same time you put, say, the cauliflower or carrots in, it might not cook.
It's also probably part of Italy that is eastern Italy.
She's Southern.
But that's, I mean,
I know, it's a big miss.
cauliflower and all that stuff is not so much.
Well, I'm telling you where they're from.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can believe me
I
or not.
No, I believe you. I believe you. But
They're
at
right in
first-
the middle between Rome and Puglia.
Okay.
So I wouldn't. It's not super southern.
No, it's
but,
more central there.
Yeah. So glaring miss to me is garlic. Anything else?
Yeah, no ketchup for me. I would do a dash of vinegar instead, and I would do
Tomato paste?
Yeah, no, tomato in a can. You take canned tomato. I mean, she's using canned beans and use canned tomato. The one in the hole in the juice.
I'm
And then,
assuming we're going back to fresh beans. So
yes, me too.
we're not gonna. I don't like the idea of putting canned food and then canning it.
Yes,
But
That's-
again, it's not my recipe. But
it's like
I'm just-
defrosted and refrosted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I agree with you. I think fresh beans and
Things you don't want to add, what you might have around, don't add broccoli. That's a terrible idea. Or any sort of that's really stinky cabbages.
just because you don't like broccoli.
No, I love broccoli,
Okay.
but it would not work in here. because it's going to take over the whole pot.
Right. You know, one thing you could put is Swiss chard. You could do the stem of the Swiss chard cut in
Mhm.
pieces.
That would be delicious.
Put that in there.
Mhm.
What other
It would cook
vegetable?
in the right amount of time and stay firm too. So
I would pre-blanch them to put them in there because everything is, you know, it's a quick cook. It's a quick, so you don't want to. You know, it takes time to cook a Swiss chard.
yeah.
So I would pre-cook it. I would pre-blanch it.
Anyway, so if you want to have a fun end of summer project, to me this is a hoot. And frankly, I think I'm going to try it this year.
You know what? I'm
Good.
gonna try it too, and I'm gonna make my own version.
Because my father had labels made with his mother's picture on it, so it says the Croce Antipasto.
Oh,
So that's
cute.
another area you can kind of make it individual and really fun Christmas gifts. If you at the time you're going to somebody's house for Thanksgiving, bring over a can of Antipasto. It's much better than plastic turkey or something goofy like that. Don't you think?
Anything is better than plastic turkey, even cheese.
Even cheese. Okay, we got a big second hour coming your way. We're excited to be with you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to our audience here for being so loud and boisterous today. That was been so fun. When we come back, we've got another full hour on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Woo! Seventh inning stretch. Jim, who are you bringing up to start?
Should I introduce everybody?
Absolutely. On air or as we're
Well,
right now? I think the audience will preview so they get the.
Great quiche, Tom. Very good quiche.
Crust is a little thick.
Yeah, mine is crustless.
Oh wait, there's a logo T-shirt.
if you hold it with your cocktail, or you hold it So this
Okay.
is Mike. He's the entrepreneur in the group.
I guess so. The branding expert.
He used to be our webmaster, but
That's because we
he also at one point had
Oh, that's our kind of people.
after 12 years, I got out of the business.
but he used to sell tiramisu, some of the best we've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be the judge of that.
Well, you will because he brought some.
Yay!
Yeah, this is shipped nationwide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Frozen. That's complicated.
Yes, it is.
Very
And then you have a FedEx guy that throws it to the back of the van.
Exactly.
That's got to make it from here to Florida.
Yeah.
Right next to the fish box, getting delivered to.
What's the brand name?
It's heavily turkeys.
So is it done now?
I don't know. It is done, but these guys are pulling me out of retirement. They pulled me out of retirement after 10 years on Wednesday. So today, with you guys.
He states it'll be the absolute last one.
Yeah. But I do have two.
What a whiner. Come on, what a whiner. You got friends out here. Jeez Louise. Oh, I'm retired. Yeah, I can't do it.
I did bring two. After a full day's work, we went till 2 a.m. for 12 years straight in my garage. I did bring two food offerings to the food guys today.
All right.
One prize, which I think you
Ooh, interesting.
Will
Yeah.
be done.
I like gin.
I just noticed there's more quiche in back. If anyone's still hungry, please help yourself.
Sitting next to Mike is Tim. He's the gourmand of the group. We all eat vicariously when he visited Michelin-starred restaurants and New York wine events because he and his wife Meg have trained as sommeliers.
Nice.
Nice.
Beautiful.
What's your favorite wine shop in Manhattan? You ever go to Italian wine merchants? Down on off of Union Square, down there, 16th. Oh, gotta check it out. Gotta check it out. Yeah.
You ever been to Leduc?
They have a big demo kitchen and they do special dinners and The last one I went to was a Beyond Santi dinner with 15 vintages of Beyond Santi.
Ooh,
Good.
that's
You ever been to
fancy.
Le Duc? Jean-Luc Le Duc? Remember Jean-Luc? Passed away a few years ago. He was the sommelier
The
for
food must be
Daniel.
getting old by now.
He was a sommelier for Daniel at the beginning, and he had a wine shop in the. What was his wine shop?
I can't answer that, chef.
I was there, but I don't remember. I was in Manhattan, but it's in Manhattan.
We're normally in and out when we go to the wine experience every year.
Ah,
So you fly in, it's crazy for 3-4 days, and you're done.
yeah.
Right. You been to France to the Burgundy tasting in Burgundy, or any of those trips?
So that's probably the only region we haven't been to in France.
How about Bordeaux?
Bordeaux?
You been to the big tasting there every year?
Yep. We didn't go to the tasting, but we went to.
All right.
Spent 2 weeks in the room.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I had a Rhone last night.
2 months ago.
What we consider the best value in Rhone in the world, Saint-Côme. Yeah, it's
House
delicious.
wine.
We opened a mag of, what was it, 09 or 06 last time? 09 maybe. I don't know.
I didn't see them in.
I was just there like a month ago. No, 2 months ago.
Feels like years, chef.
Love me some Rhone, but I love Burgundy. I'm a big. It's just out of price, but in '86,
Nice to meet people who don't worry about it. Other people think that's just expensive pee.
expensive pizza.
So when
I never thought about it that way. That's true.
So when we get together, it was always at Tim's house because he had the best wine cellar.
I like how you said had until you
Well-
got there.
Yes, we pulled a lot of bottles. And over on the end is Frank.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Frank.
He's the biggest foodie of the group.
Ah.
Probably has the broadest taste in cuisine and foods, and he always brings his parents' Chinese ancestry and culture back into the foods.
Into the mix.
Nice.
And he's the one that gets us together all the time. He's the instigator and makes sure we keep going. And then finally, the tomato couldn't be with us. The tomato is so named because he doesn't cook. He just wanted to hang out, eat our food, pull wine out of Tim's cellar. Yes.
So are we
He
supposed to?
just-
So you have five dudes in this?
Five,
Oh, I thought it
four
was only
dudes
four.
and the tomato.
Four
And,
dudes in
and
it.
you'd think someone growing up in the 50s like I did would know the proper slang for tomato, which is a young, beautiful woman. No, Aaron spells it with an A. And, however, after 10 years hanging with us, he has developed a good palate for wine, and thanks to Tim, and decided to get into cooking. And he does some of the best barbecues and smoking.
Oh.
The thing about Aaron is he'll research something to death, and it's a shame he couldn't be here because he would have brought his.
Is he
brisket.
dead?
No.
Well, why isn't he here?
His family brought home COVID, and
Ah,
so he's isolating.
so he's
and
temporarily dead.
temporarily dead. So,
He's hiding from the dead.
so that's our group.
Wonderful.
I was gonna say you must be dead if you're not going to show up here today.
Yeah,
So,
no
you
kidding.
know.
But he didn't want to infect everyone.
What a nice man. All right, let's get started on
Let's get
hour number
started.
Okay,
two.
we're gonna start that all over again,
Yeah.
great radio. just to see if you could talk.
Jim, you're staying here. Are you going to bring up your colleagues one at a time?
I think
Okay.
that's a little
Frank,
clunky.
come on now.
What?
To get them all up here.
Well,
Oh,
one
yes,
at a
all
time.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, one at a time.
Don't forget to speak this close to the mic so you can sound very sexy.
Not that tall.
If you go here, it don't sound so good.
Don't worry about getting close.
Get close, close, close.
You're grossing me out right now, chef.
Anytime something gets really nice, it gross you out. What's that about? What's your theme song?
Oh, good. Good.
Hang On Little Tomato by Pink Martini. You know that song?
Oh, I don't.
You do now. Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun, dun-dun,
So in our first segment, we're going to stick mainly on your club and then how you would suggest people form their own club, right? This in the second segment, we're going to jump into the themes of what you cook,
how you pick your themes and everything.
All right.
and then
Segment 3 is a day on Banbridge.
Pamela's got all sorts of things laid out here for segment 3. So we're going to try and stay within what the show sheet says so that we don't end up making all 3 segments the same.
Great. And to let you know about that third segment, we get together just for 5 nights. We don't invite the spouses. But once a year, we do a big dinner for them on Bainbridge Island.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
Which is tomorrow. So that's what the last segment is what we're going to do.
So Jim, you look at these questions that are going to come up
Okay.
here. Is Frank the right person to start out, or is Frank better in?
He can talk about how we got together.
Okay, good. That's, you see my point?
Yes.
The right person for getting through this.
All right. All right.
You guys have your own camera team? What's going on over here?
That way you guys don't have to
Thank you.
strings.
Great.
And remember, be close to the mic.
All right.
It's where you get the best voice. If you don't, I'm gonna keep going like this. Like,
And we're back. It's the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. Thank you for sticking with us for that long break. Terry, we have 1 more hour to change the world.
that quiche
This
was
week?
superb.
Our breakfast quiche here today was pretty darn tasty,
Delicious.
wasn't it? Yeah. Nicely light and custardy and
Mm.
creamy and full of browned onions. We are going to jump into a family friend, we'll call it. Jim Maurer is here. He is a faithful listener, and he's told us about part of a cooking club that he is part of and helped start. And it's a special way to connect with friends. And I think in our first segment, let's talk about that, how to form a club, how to stay with it, how to not be embarrassed if something goes sideways.
Yeah.
Those are all things that kind of stop people in their tracks a little bit. So we've invited Jim and his gang of 4 guys and a tomato for 3 full segments. We're going to jump all the way through the hoops of what it means to join a cooking club. This is a small cooking club, Jim.
It's
Nice. Good size.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been together for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of the things I like about that, it's 4 guys. So it's actually 5 guys, 4 guys and a tomato, is that it's not intimidating to cook for 6 people, 5 people all the time. Whereas when you start getting 10, 12, 20 people together, people can get super intimidated and want to drop out.
Right. And
Well, it's a lot of work. I mean,
Yeah.
realistically, from your home kitchen to be cooking for 12 people is a
Right.
task.
but it's mainly a social thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's a cliche. Food is love, but food just brings us together. It's
Right.
it's really about being together and having a good time and learning from each other,
Okay,
like
so
Pamela did with the melon ball.
exactly. So to introduce your friend Frank here, and then tell us how things got started.
Okay, well, Frank's probably the biggest foodie in the group. He brings not only his parents' Chinese heritage to it, but he brings every culture to our evenings. And Frank, why don't you explain how we got together? Because you're kind of the instigator.
Well, this is going to be my version. Of course, if you ask the 4 other guys, it'd be totally different. But around I think year 2010, so that's about 12 years ago, we all worked at Microsoft on the same project. It was called Pangea, right? So every project needs a database person, a PM, a manager, that kind of thing. And we had to work really closely together to make everything work successfully. So because we spent so much time together, we got to be really close. We realized we all got along really well. And so naturally towards the end of the week, Thursday or Friday, we'd say, well, what are you doing this weekend, right? And Tim, one of the guys, he says, I'm going to some wine event in New York, and I'll bring back some pictures to show you because it's a really nice event. And sure enough, Monday comes along. He brings back these really nice pictures of really good looking food, and he was raving how great it was, right? We all love to eat. So, and then he showed us a picture of who was in attendance. Now, back in 2010, that's when I started really wanting to learn how to cook really well. It was pictures of Wolfgang Puck, Ermal Lagasse, all my heroes back in the day from Food Network. So as we went out to lunch more and more, we found out that we always talked about food, right? We go to some Thai restaurant like Bai Tong, and their food was, the fresh rolls were really great. Or, we found out we always talked about food, and we thought, oh, maybe we should take a stab at doing this, ourselves, right? And we have a group of 5 of us that normally goes to lunch together. One of them doesn't cook, so that's why we came up with 4 guys and a tomato.
And it's just named Tomato?
His name's
Literally
Aaron.
or no?
No,
No, okay.
and I'm not even sure why he became the tomato, other than he was the odd person out. Maybe Mike could talk about that
Okay,
later.
we'll get to that.
Yeah, Mike is shaking his head really hard over there. He's like,
And so, did anyone come to the table with particular skills of cooking?
Have interest in perfecting, right? So I have my skill set from my parents and all the things that I've been exposed to, and then Tim and his wine and Mike and his tiramisu. I mean, everybody has different.
which is what you want. You want a diversified skill set. Yeah.
We learn a lot from each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So the very first day we did this, I made some panko oysters. He made okonomiyaki. We had, of course, tiramisu, and Tim made his crab cakes, right? And it was so fun. Plus, we all liked wine, right? So we said, let's do this again and again and again. So we just kept going on.
So
Well-
the old poker club,
Yeah, exactly.
because it's all boys. There's no
Right.
no partners, no spousal units invited, right?
Well, later on, once a year at Bainbridge, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So I guess at the end of the day, we have a lot in common. We all get along together, but 3 things stand out to me. One is that we all have that same desire to make the perfect food, perfect every recipe to our liking,
Right.
right? Whether it be dim sum, whether it be pizza, whether it be anything, we just want everything to be as perfect as possible. We will make 2 or 3 renditions of everything when we make stuff and pick the best version. 2, when we get together, we get to eat things that we sometimes don't normally get to eat at home, right? So some people can't eat nightshades, so we can't have potatoes and we can't have tomatoes. Some people can't have dairy, so we can't have cheese, right? And my family don't like to eat spicy, but none of us have those restrictions when we get together. So that's number 2.
That's nice.
Yeah,
we
that's
go
nice.
wild.
And number 3, we all like wine, right? We're fortunate to have a sommelier in our group, and his wife's a sommelier too. And he can expertly pair any food with any wine. In fact, he won that contest last time where he would take a sip and he could tell you what region of France or wherever it is that the wine came from. So these are 3 main things. And last for me, I also learned a lot, right? We all learned from each other. I learned what tannins were in wine, right? And one time, I think I overheard Tim was talking to somebody about how great this one restaurant was. And I was overhearing him, and he was saying he was talking about these different dishes. Then all of a sudden, he was talking about car tires. So, what the heck
He
is he
must have
talking
been drinking
about?
Chateauneuf du Pape, is my guess.
Yeah. That's when I learned the name Michelin is not just about car tires. It's also the rating for a restaurant.
Yeah.
So
I think of a lot of Chateauneuf having like burnt tire smell.
No, but I like the. How many bread on that restaurant?
So it
Oh,
gets,
that restaurant has no bread left.
it gets better with each event, and this is my version of how we got together.
Awesome. Frank, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
We'll
you
hear
so
from
much.
The rest of the group as we go along here. And think of this as a little bit of anybody that wants to have some advice on how to start a club Jim is very active and would be happy to take your emails and send you a personal reply.
Yes, indeed.
Up next in this food club, with four dudes in a tomato. How do you pick your themes? You know, please describe some of the epic meals that have come out of this little fascinating quintet. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97 KFM.
Awesome.
The last one's big.
How do you pick your your theme, your themes?
Cam, is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk for hours on this.
Yeah, but do we want to listen? That's
So
the
Tim,
question.
just so you know, when he comes out, we have 2 minutes left, 1 minute left.
Jim,
Okay.
I can talk for hours
I
too,
need-
but people
when I
go.
get the 1 minute,
I know.
I think if you have 30 seconds, because I need 30
Okay.
seconds to wrap the segment.
Okay, no problem.
So remember, you want to eat that ice cream you're looking at.
Okay.
Okay, here you go. Think of it.
No
Nice.
problem.
And a lot of people that podcast us listen to a segment at a time, and so we kind of have to introduce each segment individually.
Oh, good point.
Tim.
Yeah. So we have a 9-minute segment this time. We're back here in the kitchen at the Hot Stove Society Show. We've been joined by some faithful listeners. Does anyone else listen to our show, Jim, besides you, or you just inform them of all the interesting tidbits that you hear?
I brought 2 groupies with us
Oh, okay,
today,
good.
so I think
Good.
they're the other 2 listeners.
That
So
means
there's
we have
6
5,
people.
I think.
Six
Six
people.
now that are listeners.
What a crowd. What a crowd.
Jim Maurer is our guest, along with his cooking club. 4 dudes. What do you call it? 4 dudes in a tomato?
4 guys.
4 guys. So same diff.
No, it's not the same diff. 4 gentlemen and a tomato is not the same thing.
Okay, we learned how you kind of got together as a group from Frank. Tim is here now. Tim, I kind of play your role in this mix because I keep a nice wine cellar also. I don't travel as much other than just to go hang out and blah, blah, blah. But I do keep a nice cellar. So tell us about your role in this group and all these freeloaders that feel comfortable raiding your cellar every week or every month.
Good point. Good point. I think they were vicariously living through me since I was traveling with no kids. I mean, you can get on the road and
Yeah.
you don't
Oh,
have to
yeah,
worry about the
that's-
dog, the
that's
kids,
freedom all
stuff
the
like
way.
that. And my father-in-law was a sommelier and loved to travel for food and wine. So when I met my wife, I'm thinking like, gosh, you've been to a lot of great restaurants and wow, that's an expensive wine. I need to hang out with her a little more,
Yeah,
find out what
exactly.
this is all about. And when you get on the road and to some of these regions of the world and these restaurants with the 3-star Michelins, and they're not tires, obviously, you get exposed to things like you come out of the restaurant and it's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Why
Sometimes you
is
ju-
this like
sometimes you
it's a
wonder
wow?
why.
We call it a wow, Now you're thinking like, gosh, I can't afford this. So how do I do this at the house? Got me into it. It's like, I want to do this back at home because I can't afford places in the world. And then the wine, getting its wine, we decided, my wife and I, to go through sommelier training. And the idea is once you get the wine and the food together, trying to elevate them both at the same time to kind of do a wow at the house.
Yeah, and once you're more comfortable with the knowledge of the wine, then it's easier to invest into buying wine.
Exactly.
Because that's a scary thought for somebody to spend $100 on a bottle of wine if they don't know about
And then
wine.
Put it down for 10 years.
Yeah. And then wait and then go, oh, that was not the wine to put away.
Exactly. And my goal was to be at a point when I retire to be able to go to the cellar, pull out a 10-year-old bottle, and then have a hot dog with it,
Yeah.
watch a football game. And everyone's going, wait a second, this is a little expensive wine to be
Watching football with?
watching football and
If it's
having
the
a
Super
hot
Bowl,
dog,
I mean-
though. It's a hot dog. And everyone's like, why not something fancier? And it's like, well, it's about the game. And I just like wine. So let's pair the food and the wine together.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with eating good food watching a football game.
Exactly.
It's
So
a
how does
very
it-
big misconception.
So how does it then relate to your group?
Well, we were all engineers. So the first time they included me, it was this meeting that I never knew anything about. And it's like, hey, I just got invited to this meeting called Deep Thoughts.
Ooh, satanic.
And I'm thinking, like, what's Deep Thoughts? And there's no distribution on this. It's all blind copies on this
Mhm.
email. And they go, well, you're going to have to show up. And what it was just a drinking thing at Microsoft. So they started asking me about the wine, and then they're asking about restaurants, and so, and then it's like, no, it can't be that good. Come on, that's not right. And I said, well, let's have some contests. Let's get together. My wife travels every week because she's a medical consultant, and it's like, let's get together. I'm free. And we normally did it on a Thursday, and broke away, come up
So,
with
so
something.
you guys were not working on Friday morning?
Fridays were a little tough. Let's say that.
No big meeting on Fridays.
This is before the work at home era.
Yeah.
And one of them was just steaks, and I was running into Brian Flannery steaks at one time, and they're just going, those can't be, they're not worth it. I said, let's do a steak contest then, okay, I control the cooking here, the method of this. It's going to be a reverse sear. It's in New York. You can't marinate. The only thing you can do if you want to do it is salt and pepper, and that's it. And then we kind of broke it up. Jim's running the temperatures. We had another guy running the sear on a big hot, barbecue, and we had the oven and all laid out. Took pictures of it before we started. When we
Those guys are
finished,
engineer, all right?
I had
Engineer.
Brian Flannery steaks. There was Costco steaks in there. Was Double D Ranch, Butcher. There was Whole Foods, so on. And it's like, hey, there's no cost limit here. It's just let the steaks speak for
Yeah.
itself, right? And at the end of the game, it was really Brian Flannery won it. It was surprising. Some of the other, places came up pretty high in the ranking with their steaks, which was awesome. So
Were you doing equal grades across your steaks, just out of curiosity?
no, it was just, it had to be a New York cut. That's it.
But it could be choice wagyu. It could be
Yes,
anything. Okay.
exactly. So it's like whatever you want to spend, whatever you want to do, long as it's New York, I don't care.
So
you know?
was the most expensive steak the winner or was not?
It was, however, after that was the surprising spot.
Costco
Okay.
is my guess.
Costco came up a lot higher than the Whole Foods, and Whole Foods was pretty expensive. We call it whole paycheck. So
Yeah,
I
for a
mean, it's
reason.
like, yeah. So,
Okay, so you're the wine guy. What wines went best with the steak?
well, normally if you're trying to get, pulse your crowd, you're trying to figure out what they can do with wine and so on. Because when you're a sommelier, you don't want to blow out their palate. You say your palate's right here, and I can take you 2 steps forward or 2 steps back, and you'll like the wine. If I jump you too far forward, it's like, doesn't matter if it's a good wine or a bad wine, they're not going to really appreciate it or like it. So
Like we say with Tom, you don't open your best bottle of wine on Thanksgiving when the whole
Right.
family is here.
Well, it's just too many flavors going on. So,
yes. So I was learning their palates, and once I learned their palates, then it's about educating them on. And sooner or later, it's like, oh my gosh, now they're turning back onto me as like, this is it.
Did you ever do a theme where the food had to match like a blind wine that you're serving, or?
We would always do pairings,
Okay.
and it's really back to your knowledge of wine, whether you know how to pair wine with the food. And I would help them out at times. So it's like, if you want to know what's going to pair with that, yeah, sure. And it was normally the food first, though. And I
Okay.
would always think of, okay, let's try to keep the wines working with the dishes while we're doing dishes. Then when we're all done, we would then just open up wine.
Jim,
Just
what
keep
was your
going.
favorite pairing or what epic meal that you've done as a group?
I think it was actually my daughter who we cooked for with the spouses, and she made a scallops with a puree of carrot, and it was surprisingly good. So yeah. Tim did some fragua, which was amazing. It was perfectly seared. There were several. We did a roasted fig with thyme and orange, and mix that with a sabayon, which was delicious. All
delicious?
the components of
Yeah.
those could have been on their own, but together they were out of the world. So
So how do you pick? Do you have a way to pick the theme, or is just random?
It's kind of random. At times, it's what's going on in your life and so on. And at one point, it was like, Mike, we pick winners at the end of the night, which is good and bad in the same breath. But at one time, I was like, we got to get Mike on the the winners list here on this one. So I came up with at lunch is like, let's throw all our names into a hat, and you pick the dish for someone else. And it's
Ah,
like, okay, and
now that's getting tricky.
I picked Mike, luckily, and then I did a sample dish as I gave him from Trois Gros in Rouen, France, which is an epic
Classic,
dish. Yes, an
classic.
epic dish. And he was kind of worried about it, and I said, "Don't worry about this. This is very simple, but it's
Yeah.
very technical, and I will help you out on this." And it came out perfect.
it was
And
good.
And we into the night.
What's the
who's
wine with that?
I
Gotta
like
be
a white,
Sancerre or
yeah,
something.
a white wine normally. You can get
Ah,
to a light Pinot on something like that. But
Sorrel is a
yeah,
tough one.
Sorrel. I'm a Merceau guy. I like
Yeah.
Merceaus. So those Chardonnays are awesome. So
All right. When we come back, we're going to finish up this journey with the 4 guys and a tomato and take a trip to Bainbridge Island. Does that sound good, Jim?
It sounds excellent.
All right.
We love that.
Thanks,
That's
Tim.
when we come back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 973 FM. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
We also need to get to the dishes. We missed that.
Les dish.
No, the dishes. Who cleans
the
the dishes?
tomatoes.
Tomato.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Tomato. As the Brits say, they don't put the T in at all. Tomato. Ready, set?
Your name again?
Mike.
Mike. Get close to the mic.
Mike.
Mike.
And we're back in the Hot Stove Society. Having a fun day here today. Continuing our chat with the 4 dudes and a tomato. 4 gentlemen, 4 guys.
4 guys and a tomato.
Yeah, I know we can do it. We've heard all about forming a dining club kind of group and how fun that is. It helps. It sounds to me like it helps. Like you have 4 like-minded people that like each other to begin with. And what else have we learned so far, Chef?
We learned that they pick their theme randomly, not like it's not like we're gonna line up the next 2 years and this is what's gonna happen every month.
Right.
And you guys meet once a month, right?
Pretty much once a month before COVID.
Right,
In the
right.
pandemic, we've kind of lost our
We've
fun.
we've also learned that they like to maybe torture each other a little bit. They'll put their names and dishes in a hat, and you have to make what your buddy tells you to make,
I
which
know.
is kind of fun.
And it's kind of fun. That one is a good challenge.
Yeah.
And then this last one that I have here, Mike has joined us on the mic along with Jim. You take a trip to Bainbridge every year.
Yes. So to back up, you might be wondering about the tomato. He's the 5th guy. He joined the group. He doesn't cook, or at least he didn't. After about 10 years, he really got into barbecuing and smoking, and now he's just as good as the rest of us.
Yep.
Mike is our 4th guy, and in the 4 guys and a tomato, but he probably is the one that named the group. And
I'm the 5th wheel.
the 5th wheel.
I'm the,
You're an
And-
RV, buddy.
Yeah.
okay. Let's get
So-
on
No,
record.
no. He said you're the 4th guy. It means the truck cannot move until you're
There
here.
you go.
I'll just let you know the very first one was at my house in August.
Yeah.
So I think I'm the
So-
first guy.
You're
Yeah.
the first guy.
Oh,
So Mike spent he lived in Japan for a while. He brings some of that culture to us. But we get together as a group of guys just to, socialize. And our wives got very jealous about it. So once a year, we put on a full day of cooking for them at my daughter's house on Bainbridge Island. She has a old house that was built in 1895 by a lumber baron. It's on. We let them sit out on the porch. We bring a dinner. And of course, There's always a wine pair.
And for the ladies,
Yeah.
you can think of Saturday as 16 hours and 6.
Yes.
Nice.
Nice. Oh, you do as many dishes as you can. You don't just do one.
Oh.
Sometimes it's 12, 15 different dishes, but
Awesome.
Wow.
small
all day.
plates.
Now you're
So-
talking Terry's language. He
I
loves
know.
it.
It's an all day
Yeah, yeah.
event. And we're just working
The
for the
whole
women.
idea of having a big dinner with one plate is like, it's so overrated for me. I'm like, 12 little things. It's like,
Actually, the problem was that we kind of brought in meals, but it was too much. And then one of our themes was small plates. So
Yeah.
whatever you want to bring, but small plates.
I
That
bet
worked.
they
That
love
worked.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the tomato brought at the end of like 15 small plates, the tomato brought in an 18-pound brisket.
Nice. Nice.
His idea,
The
tomatoes,
guy he missed the first email.
No wonder
Small
why he couldn't
plates.
make it today.
he didn't get the message. And, a small plate to the tomato is an 18-pound brisket that's been smoked for 16 hours at 225.
I personally think that every dinner you do should have one small plate of tomato by one guy rotating.
Mm.
Thank you for that, chef.
No, just an idea.
They call you Tiramisu Mike
Yeah.
because you apparently make the best tiramisu in all the land.
Yeah, which you're going to
So
judge me on later.
When you, totally, I'm going to judge you.
You don't even have to ask.
I get judged.
It's natural for
Just
him.
look online. I get judged every day, every meal. Just check me out online. People trash me all the time.
It's
So it's my little way to
pleasure.
get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
does every meal have to have tiramisu that you
No.
guys do? Or do they force you? Like everything I do has to have a piece of coconut cream pie in it.
Okay, no. So the short story of the long story is I lived in Belgium for 5 years. My very first date to become my wife was, she gave me tiramisu, and she had an Italian friend in college there, and actually used Calvados, and that was interesting. But anyway, next thing you know, I got twins, and
Oh, the Calvados was on the side.
it's the power of tiramisu.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And then I converted my garage into a commercial kitchen and shipped nationwide for about 12 years, staying up until 2:00 in the morning, did bite to Seattle. And then I got out of the food business, and these guys took me out of retirement this Wednesday.
He refuses to make it for us.
Yeah,
as a matter of
I don't
fact.
blame you. I don't blame you a bit. Jim, I always ask people this when I'm doing classes here at the Hot Stove, and I want to get to know people a little bit more because people are scared in the kitchen sometimes and they don't have confidence, but they always have a dish that they own in the kitchen, right? That you just know every time you make it, I own lasagna or I own this particular ravioli. You guys want to tell me what your dishes that you own?
Curiously enough, I like to just go for it. So I can't
anything
say I
for
have
you.
a signature dish.
I think it's duck. You like
well,
duck?
we like duck, yeah. But
That's mine too. I love making duck.
well, we'll
Yeah.
have to go head to head.
Uh-oh.
He'll judge you.
Not everything is a
No judging.
competition, Jim.
You know what? I don't think you get that right. From what we just heard from those four
Everything's
guys.
a competition.
Everything is a
Everything's
competition.
But
Those guys are not doing this for the eating purpose. They just want to win, no matter what it is.
but I will say that I was 11 years old and I would come home. This is 1965, watch cartoons with my brother, but then the news would come on and we'd switch over to the national educational TV. And my mentor, Julia Child,
Uh-huh.
whose 110th birthday would have
Yeah.
been last week, was making a chocolate souffle. I thought that's the perfect food. So I scribbled the recipe down on the back of my homework. Talk about fearless. I called my mother. I looked for the ingredients. I found everything. I called my mother at work and said, "What's granulated sugar?" And she said, "Well, that's ordinary sugar." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to make a chocolate souffle. Bye."
Nice.
She called the fire department and said, "Can you go to my home?"
Never used the stove. Having only watched that one
Yeah,
episode,
that's the power of Julia.
and it turned out perfectly.
Good.
Yeah. So we're going to reprise that recipe this weekend as the last dish.
Oh, good for
is
you.
the chocolate. I haven't made it in decades.
I think Tim's crab cakes and his special sauce are awesome, and I think Frank has got pizza nailed down. Yeah.
But he one year he didn't get the message either. He bought the biggest king crabs in
Oh, yeah.
Chinatown and made crab 3 ways
Mhm.
for our small plates.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was delicious.
I walked into Bainbridge, by the way, one time, and I go into Jennifer's place there, and I see like this thing flying in the air, and it's Jim slamming an octopus onto the granite countertop, and he keeps going at this thing, and that was the softest, that was the greatest octopus ever.
And the house still smells like that.
You see little suckers on the ceiling still.
Exactly.
Nice decor.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what have you learned as friends and as club mates in this process? I know you all worked at Microsoft, but that you've taken it to another level. Is there an energy that you take away at the end of the night with your pals?
Definitely. I mean, the wine helps from Tim's
For sure.
collection. Okay. But no, it's just been really great times. I just love the creativity of it. Bringing different things. Sometimes we don't have a theme and it's just all over the map, but and then some ad hoc things happen, like the Sabayon at whatever midnight that Jim did, and Frank made one of the best. I'm kind of a burrito guy, and Frank made one of the best burritos. Of course, it helps. It's like 1 a.m. and you've had some wine.
Yeah.
So just that creativity and getting together, I think, and then somebody goes and eats something at a restaurant and says, "Hey, let's go figure out what they did."
You ever have any midnight cravings, like food runs, like, God, we have to order some pizza?
Well, no,
No,
but at
never.
the end of the evening, it's almost a tradition now that Frank will make fried rice out of all the leftovers. Every time we get together, there's fried rice and maybe some whiskey at the end of the evening.
Just because you didn't have enough wine.
Right. Yeah.
This is a
You guys
food
sleep on the
club.
promises?
There have been times.
Yeah.
Well,
Luckily, there's Uber.
yeah, exactly.
There wasn't
exactly.
back then, actually, but yeah.
Well, if you haven't been inspired listening to the last few segments to go and think about opening your own,
Yeah.
or not opening, but starting your own food club.
Club, yeah.
To me, it's a really great way to energize your kitchen.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get into a rut
Yeah.
in our kitchens, and this is a great way to kind of force feed yourself new dishes and try new things.
Expand your horizon.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have it with people who are not necessarily professional,
Yep.
who are in the same boat as you, or they just want to eat something different and learn different technique, which I think is the secret of expansion.
We're extremely unprofessional.
Yeah.
I'm
But, you
proud
know-
of it.
But
Exactly.
the lack of like not having everything structured and planned out, I think that's part of it, because you can just bring whatever. And we ran out of good recipes at one point, and we had 3 or something in the beginning, and it's like, oh geez, and then we just started experimenting with brand new stuff, and there were some.
Hopefully, you
some
have
issues,
a
but-
scribe that's writing all this down, so that at some point,
We got
not only do you have a T-shirt with
Yeah,
your logo
yeah.
and coffee mugs with
Yeah.
your logo, but you can have your house cookbook with
No,
your
we do.
logo.
We
You know-
we have a template for our recipes with our logo on it, and so
You know how
Jim's-
bands have a like the singer in the front and all the places they've been touring in the back?
Yeah.
Oh,
You should
good
have the
idea.
tomato in the front and all the dishes
I've
you've
been
done in the
I've been to
back.
Jim's kitchen. I've been to Tim's kitchen. And
All right, when we come back, we're going to demolish the 4 dudes and a tomato in Rub with Love. Food for thought, tasty.
Holy cow, this
trivia.
is all. Oh,
It's us against the 4.
oh my God.
Oh,
All
on
right.
Cairo
Well,
Radio,
last week I was at 0, so this week I'm going to be at 1 at least.
97.3 FM.
All right.
Nice work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, really? That's nice. It's a pain in the butt to make, isn't it? Well, you have it down, maybe. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, just a little baby bite. That's sweet. Ah. You're one of the upstanding citizens that bought the book instead of stealing it offline. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Standard of cooking. Absolutely. I agree. Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Hibachi and dried pursuit.
Okay.
And then, we're gonna eat it later.
Okay,
Just slice it into the meat material.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay, Pam, I believe that we need to get our,
They should
Jim, we need to bring at least 2 more people with you. So you guys,
Just all stand
Mike,
around.
over here.
stand there and you can,
And we'll move up to the mic.
yeah, you can just shout out whoever has the answer.
Yeah, Jim, you can speak and they can tell you the
so
answer if you don't know.
I believe, Jim, we have 3 players, Terry, myself, and
Our
Poor guys
group,
in the
but
tomato.
Pamela, we've decided that it would be unfair for all of us to compete. And you have never competed in Tasty Trivia.
Oh, burn, burn, burn.
So we each have a question for you.
oh, that's so interesting.
You thought you got it, dude. That is awesome.
No.
So
That's too darn bad.
I know.
get-
Smiling.
He was going to tell you earlier. I said, don't do it because she'll find someone else to play.
That's awesome.
All right, here we go.
Wait, are you doing the whole game now? And I'm competing.
No, no, no. You're
against
doing the
them?
2, and then then you're competing against us. All right.
I'm gonna get you back, Jim.
So, wait,
So we're going to start with you,
yeah.
and then we're going to. I think we'll go to me, and then we're going to finish with Pam for the piece of
Got it.
And we're back in the Seattle kitchen on Cairo Radio. It's Hot Stove Society Show.
Damn it.
And it's time to play our weekly version of Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs, made by yours truly in the Ballard area at our warehouse out there where Serious Pie Ballard is. Rub with Loves are tasty little treats that you can find in grocery stores and butcher shops and online all over the country. They can help you doll up just about any dish. Our rubs and sauces and mustards are available around the Seattle area in places like Met Market, TCC, Town and Country. If you're traveling, you can pick up a jar or 2 at Made in Washington or Seattle Made on the C Concourse, not far from your Lulu.
That's right.
And of course, we offer the entire line at Seatown, Serious Pie Ballard, and here at the Hot Stove Society Show. So Jim and the boys, the tomatoes, I guess the dudes, and the tomato has declined the show today. He was scared of us. He was going to be
I
here until he
understand
heard he had
why.
to do trivia. Jim and the boys are going to take us on, but they've thrown a wrinkle.
They did.
Yeah, they did. Which
like wrinkle.
I kind of like this wrinkle that they've thrown. Jim, you want to tell us how your team is going to compete today?
Well, yes, we thought it'd be unfair to compete the 5 of us with you, and we're all avid listeners of the show. And it occurred to us that Pamela always writes the questions, but she
Mhm.
never competes.
Ooh!
So
Wow!
we each
Bum, bum, bum.
So
You're
we
gonna be
each
on the
have a
stove.
question for Pamela,
Okay.
and they're all easy. So
All right, we're going to end the show with that to see if Pam can do it. But Pam, do you want to tell us how the game is played and who's going to be our winners today? Something tells me I know that already.
She can tell you. Normally she
No,
can.
I mean the Spice Rub prize.
Oh,
It's going to go to Jan Penrod for asking us about and inspiring us for that Antipasto segment. She's going to get the Chinese 12 spice and Bengal masala.
Okay, good.
mm,
Thank you again for that, Jan. That was a sweet thought.
yeah.
Very sweet.
Okay.
All right. So
All right, that's
the
tough.
contestants
So
are getting
you asked 5 questions and I answered 5 of them, right?
Correct. And you tried to do it correctly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that part, yeah.
I made it really easy today, so you guys are throwing me for a loop. It's all about tomatoes and melons.
There you go.
Multiple choice, Terry. The tomato is native to what present-day location? Italy and Spain, Peru and Ecuador, Mexico, or China?
I'm gonna go with Peru.
You are correct. As a wild weed-like plant similar to a cherry tomato was the origin. Number 2, does the word tomato come from Old English, Spanish, Italian, or the Aztec dialect Nuhotol?
Oh, I'm so familiar with that language. I think I'm gonna go with the Aztec.
You are winning today.
I'm,
Number two.
I'm fluent in that. You
No-
want a tomato? Tomato. Tomato.
What percent of watermelon is water?
I'm sorry?
What percent of the watermelon is water?
What are the three? Do we have a
73, 92, or 85%?
92?
Yes. How can you prepare a goat cheese log so it crumbles more easily?
I would just add a little creme fraiche to it, so it's just a little bit softer and it doesn't crumble.
No,
No,
she
we-
wants it to
I
crumble
want it
more
to
easily.
crumble.
Pardon me. Just age it a little bit longer so it dries out.
Oh, okay.
No,
We were
no,
looking
no.
for freezing it for a few minutes so it dries up so you could crumble it with a fork.
Oh,
Oh.
I guess I misunderstood the question.
Which of the following is
What
not
you misunderstood was she said, "How would you do it?" And
I just
she-
told
she
you how I
wanted
would do it. I would
know.
just age it a
That's
little bit
which
longer.
makes you correct because
which
she,
of the following is not the name of a tomato variety? Tiny Tim, Mr. Stripey, Earl of Edgecombe, or Walt Sweater?
That one, the sweater.
You did fantastic today.
4 to 5.
Wow, very good. Pamela, you're in trouble.
I
Yeah.
know.
All right, I'm going to go next, and then so Pam's going to bring up the rear here.
I'm so scared.
I'm just letting the
Tom,
pressure kind of build on you.
I know. According to the USDA, what American state grows the most tomatoes for processing? Texas, Washington, Virginia, or California?
I would have guessed Florida, so I'm going to Texas, Washington, Virginia, or
California.
California,
Yes, they grow 94% of the tomatoes.
which
for
is why we're in trouble
processing.
because there's no water down there.
That's right.
When was the first can of Campbell's condensed tomato soup created? 1941, 1929, 1897, or 1881?
I'm going to say 41 because I think they did it for the war effort.
The correct answer is 1897.
Yeah, because of the 1897 war.
What?
Spanish-American War.
Exactly.
What actor starred in Return of the Killer Tomatoes, the 88 sequel to Attack of the Killer
Tom Cruise.
The correct answer is George Clooney.
Okay. They looked at some
Early
images.
explorers had a unique use for watermelons.
Ballast.
They used them as canteens.
Oh,
Good try.
I was
Um,
thinking naval explorers.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
Please name an implement commonly found in a spa treatment that is great for scrubbing potatoes.
Loofah.
Yes.
See, don't you put baby in the corner. She thought I had no way of knowing that.
No way.
2 out of 5, Tom.
Thank you so much.
Jeez.
Thank you, everyone. That was fantastic. Good day.
All right.
Okay,
All
here we
right.
go. So just a
Pam.
reminder, Jim and the 4 tomatoes, or the 4 dudes and a tomato, are going to ask Pamela their questions.
So
And
since
maybe
there
put
are
a little
5 of
heat
us, you'll
on
get
her.
5 questions.
Okay.
Excellent.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
My mentor, Julia Child, got her big TV break appearing on Boston's local WGBH while promoting her cookbook. What was it that she did on air that got her noticed?
She dropped a chicken.
She brought in a hot plate and made an omelet while answering questions on live TV.
Fancy.
Well,
Viewers
the
loved
chicken
her.
had to lay the egg. is all I'm saying.
Viewers loved her and requested more cooking demonstrations.
The beginning. You knew that one?
No.
Oh,
Frank.
Frank.
What word or phrase do the Taiwanese use to describe the perfect mouthfeel of their chewy, slippery noodles? A. QQ. B. Bang bang. C. Cow cow. D. Al dente.
Cow.
Wrong, it's QQ.
You were convincing for a second. Like you knew.
If you have no idea, be loud and dogmatic.
It's
I
not
learned that
a
from
word.
you.
It's not a word, but the letter. According to New York Times article, Q texture is to Taiwanese what umami is to Japanese, and al dente is to Italians.
There you go.
Okay.
So he, like you, reads
Beautiful.
the New York Times
I
food
know.
section every week.
You must have missed that
Thank
line.
you for that.
Okay, next question for you. Since you have an extensive wine background and you're married to the owner of the Pike and Western Wine Shop, this question is, according to the Cork Quality Council, the Whistler, which is the largest production cork tree in the world, located in Portugal, produces nearly 1 ton of raw cork every 9 years of harvest. That's enough cork to plug how many bottles? Do you want choices?
Yes, please.
50,000 bottles, 100,000 bottles, 150,000 bottles, and 200,000 bottles.
From one tree
No.
Over a 9-year growth. Yeah.
The
over a
Whistler,
9-year growth. 150,000.
100,000 bottles.
Oh, not bad.
Ah.
Well, if I'm keeping tally here, I believe we're at
Zero.
0 for 3 so
You
far.
are enjoying this
Oh,
too
this is
much.
this is too darn bad.
For comparison, the average cork tree produces about 4,000 bottle corks.
Wow. I wish I had visited one.
Yeah, we do
in
too. And then you
Portugal.
would have got the question correct.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hello.
Is this the final
This is
question?
Tiramisu Mike.
No, there's one more
Oh, there
for you.
is? Okay, well, in the 1999 movie Sleepless in Seattle, Rob Reiner gave Tom Hanks dating advice while they sat at the counter of the Athenian restaurant in the Pike Place Market.
True.
What was the one word that Tom's character, Sam Baldwin, needed to know?
Chianti.
Tiramisu.
Oh!
Sam responded that he didn't know what that meant, and that he was worried because she might want me to do that to her.
Okay.
That's an awesome one.
Current tally 0 for 4.
Oh, for four.
You're doing well, Pam. So I'll read the tomatoes question since he couldn't be here. What do they call the crusty outer coating of dry rub meats, such as brisket, that have been smoked for hours?
I'll give you a clue. Tree.
Bark.
Bark is correct.
Whoa! She's not funny. She has one.
The sugars caramelize the spices for the highly prized flavor of barbecue. Under the bark is a layer of pink meat called the smoke ring. Past that is the juicy, tender meat that has had its collagen broken down for the long, low cooking.
There you
Ooh.
go.
Wow.
So
Big thank you.
Pamela's going to walk around with a big L on her head today. If you want to be part of the show, you can watch the taping here at the Tom Douglas and Company and look for the YouTube taping segment. Let's do that again, Sean. If you want to be part of the show like the 4 Dudes and a Tomato, you can watch the taping on YouTube at Tom Douglas and Company or buy a ticket to come right here at hotstovesociety.com. Comes with breakfast. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, loser. Sound and production by Sean McFadden. And our editor is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre. And remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening and have a happy tomato weekend. It's all about tomato.
Too bad.
Oh, Pam,
That's too bad.
you didn't do so good. Oh, he's giving you the sheets of the question and the answers. Pam, reuse them next week.
Okay, I need quiet on the set. Everybody, please. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Thierry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
This afternoon on the Hot Stove Society show, we talk about Deborah Madison's article in Food 52 on vegetable tools, sweet and ripe melons, my father-in-law Jim Cross's Antipasto recipe and why you should make it. And of course, there's an inspirational cooking club, 4 guys and a tomato, that's going to join us for the entire show. All right, good.
Beautiful. It's a wrap. Thank you. Thank you for coming today. YouTubers, have a great weekend.